There we go.
So we find the PSISs of John. There's all 5. We drop down. There's the lumbosacral junction. You can feel the plateau of the sacrum. Okay. We come out. We find the SI joints, and we can feel sort of a tension here, kind of rigidity here on the right SI, and I go in, and that's pretty sore. You heard him gasp. Sorry, John.
That's right.
And so I'm going to hold that for a second. So now we can say the axis is a right axis. Okay, that's going to have an influence on how we set him up for the procedure. And then we go up to the upper part of the sacrum, and I have to push in with considerable force here because there's a lot of soft tissue between me and him, so I have to get underneath all that. So it's a bit of a probe. Now when I come to the top of his sacrum and do the same thing, I have to push in until I get to bone. The one on the left side really goes in. It's actually harder on here. And you could say if you stayed in the soft tissue, oh, he's high on that side. But you really go in to bone, and unequivocally he's low on that side.
And he's skinny, so you might get somebody who really has a lot of...
Yeah.
Then you really have to go through.
You have to make sure you go until you get bone.
Right.
We don't want, it's not anterior and posterior soft tissue over sacrum, it's what the bone's actually doing, right? So we're there. So now, we're naming this right anterior. Okay?
Rotation.
So, let's go through steps. We're moving from evaluation to treatment. The first thing we do is the head turns away from the axis. Okay? The next thing is we stand opposite of the axis. Number 1. Let me just write this down as we go along. Steps. Okay. Anterior sacrum. Okay. We've already established axis. Okay, axis done. Okay. Number 2, head turns away from axis. In this case, our axis is right. We make him turn left. Number 3, the next step, we stand opposite of axis. Stand opposite of axis, right?
Yes.
Number 4 is we are in the act of bringing the axis down by, we are going to turn his pelvis away from the axis toward us. We're going to grasp his knees and bring his pelvis and hips to about 90 degrees. So we're going to turn pelvis toward us, pelvis and legs toward us. And in doing that, we're going to flex at knees, and hips. Okay? We do that till we feel the gapping of the lumbosacral junction, right? Got it?
Yes.
So let's go that far. The other thing we're going to do as we do that is we make sure that shoulder down on side facing you. See, there are a bunch of little steps, all of which are really important. It's really important to keep them all together. Table up.
Table up.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to hold on here. You're just going to keep this arm kind of hooked around, keep the shoulder down. As we turn his pelvis toward us, there's a tendency, if he's tight, for his shoulder to want to come up. That's going to take away our leverage. It'll limit our ability to do this. So pulling his pants back up, so we Don't embarrass anybody. Now, I'm just going to grab my sheet here, my blanket, so it doesn't turn. I'm going to roll, use my arm, push the pelvis up this way. As the pelvis comes up, I'm just going to pull his knees up this way. Kind of easy, right? So I push the pelvis up with one hand. I lean into it so I'm not using my muscles, right? Broad contact so I don't hurt him. And I bring his bracket under here. And I bring him up. Now I get a next step. I brought him to about 90 degrees of the hips, 90 degrees of the knees. And now I'm going to take my hand at the lumbosacral junction, which is there. And I'm just going to continue to bring him up until I feel the thin gap. I feel motion of the sacrum, which is right there. Just, you feel it kind of lift and jump into your hands. So what do we have? We have a left shoulder down, right? We have his pelvis counter-rotated. We've isolated the sacrum with the flexion of the hips and pelvis. We have his knees bent about 90 degrees. And so here I am. I have one hand, my top hand sort of monitoring the sacrum and pelvis. If I feel like he's having a hard time here, I can hold his shoulder down while I do this. And I have my other hand grasping his ankles and feet and legs, which are stacked over on top of one another. Okay? And he's at his barrier. He's right down. You can see he's bouncing off of something that's quite resistant. Right? So the first thing I'm going to do, monitoring the sacrum, he's got his shoulder managed pretty well. Does this hurt horribly down here? No. Be careful on some of the portable tables that have wooden rails right on the edges.
Yeah.
So you might want to put a towel or a blanket over the edge of that. And I'm just going to find my barrier, which is right there. And I want you to just take a big breath in and push your feet to the ceiling. Now relax. And notice I'm trying to go into him with my body. I'm trying to lock my elbow so I'm stable. If I use my arms, he's going to be, these are, legs are pushing up versus my arm. So now, big breath in, push up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go, release, exhale, relax. Keep that elbow up here, grasping in. Let go, relax it. You can let me go. There's more. Big breath in. Push up. And release. Now I'm going down for the barrier. There are a lot of other things that limit my ability to do that, right? His hips, his back, his shoulders. This is already starting to come up. This is probably pretty good. I felt a good motion. We're significantly lower than we were, right? Mm-hmm. So take a big breath in and come up. Release. Come on up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. There you are. Good.
Did you say something with me? You wanted 2 feet when you did it to me. You wanted the feet to be together.
They are together. They just
no, I mean not like this.
Well, obviously, if you're using both feet to push, and they're not together, you can't hold them.
No, I don't mean together. I mean instead of shifting, that they're equal. Was that an issue? It seemed like you were doing that with me. You know what I mean?
Well, your feet just went off like that, so I just put them together so they're stacked on top of each other.
Oh, that's what you meant. I thought you meant like this instead of like that. That's not.
Well, that should be. Everything should be stacked on top of another. Everything should be perfectly the same, top and bottom. So come down, please. Face down. We have to check our work. Right. Good. So, how's that feeling now?
Better.
Still a little jumpy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's check our. Yeah, significantly different.
Did you have back pain?
Significantly different. Good. So check. Go ahead and take a look. Here I am at the spot. It's kind of grittier. I can get at it more. There's less. The word would be induration, like hardness around it. It's softened a little bit, and you can, if you remember, you can get it. It's a little grittier now. That isn't that sore. I would do the counter strain on him if anybody wants to do.
Mid-pole.
Was that?
Mid-pole.
Mid-pole. Yes. That's where I am.
Same point.
And then same point. And then here I am. This really doesn't go in anymore. Quite the same. So check it out. Who wants to feel it well? Lose
Oh,
filming.
it's hot.
Oh, it's hot.
I can stop the filming now, right?
What's that?
Stop the recording?
Yeah. Just important while you're still recording to put on the recording that this is not the whole treatment, right? This is part of a whole continuum of decision making. This is part of a whole vast unit of function. At least you need to make sure that L5 isn't pissed off. Probably do seated pelvic floor release in addition to that, and certainly neutral. So this is not an isolated procedure.
Mm-hmm.
This is not to be done without the supervision of a parent or an osteopath in your own homes. Good.